have returned. We are doing another question here in the One Question series. I got this question from new grandma, Michelle Oakley. And this question is going to turn, but I will start with a lighthearted part in the beginning. So, the genesis of this question comes from a situation that happened to me. But the question is, where was I in the 90s? The genesis of this question is from the fact that I was supposed to go to this D&D gaming session once in the vast wasteland of the 90s. And we always had our gaming sessions on Tuesdays, for reasons I forget why. But I guess it was time everybody could meet, so we always did it on Tuesdays at like 8 o'clock. And what would happen is I would show up, I would be there, I would game. And this one time, I was supposed to be there on a Tuesday, and I wasn't. And I show up like 2 or 3 weeks later, on time at 8 o'clock on another random Tuesday. And everybody's like, where were you at? And I was like, I don't know. But there I was, back, where I was supposed to be at the time I was supposed to be there. Days after I was supposed to be there. This is not an uncommon occurrence. This has happened to other groups that I'm friends with during the 90s. And everybody would report the same thing, that I would be where I was supposed to be. And sometimes on time, but not usually where or when I was supposed to be there. And so I thought about this question the last couple of weeks, and I really wanted to really think about it. And there's a part of me that wanted to answer it in a way that reminds me of the Serial podcast, which generally begs the question of if something happened to you in the 90s, or if you were accused of a crime, and you say you were at a certain place at a certain day in 1995, let's say, how could you prove it? The original series of the Serial podcast delves into that particular question due to a crime that's still being litigated. But to answer the question as far as about me, like where was I at in the 90s, the truth is, upon reflection, I was both physically and metaphysically lost. And the reason I was both physically and metaphysically lost is the physical side. I'm horrible with directions. GPS has really been kind of like a really saving grace for me. Also, though, I don't care about getting lost. I don't panic when I get lost. That's why I just was like, okay, where I'm at a place I don't know, cool. That's what the backpack and the trunk is for, with like the extra clothes and the toothbrush. So I never sat around going, oh man, I'm in a city I don't know. Because a lot of times I might end up somewhere I would just be places and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm in a place. My car is here. Okay, cool. And we're alive. All right, we'll figure it out. So I never panicked about being physically lost anywhere. I never was really panicking about being metaphysically lost. Because I wasn't. In the way that I realized, well, I was, but not in the way that I think about it now. So, for most of my early adulthood, the truth is I was running from my own demons in a lot of different ways, and none of them were good. And like the character in my favorite Christmas movie, The Ref, talks about, is that you don't start running. Because once you start running, you never stop running. And what I had to learn the hard way, even in the last year, is that whatever thing you're grappling with, whatever problem you have, whatever issue that's in your mind, whatever you're insecure about, you can go anywhere in the world. You can go to Palm Beach, you can go to France, you can go to Elba, Alabama. Wherever you're at, your baggage is still with you. You still have to grapple with the thing that you grapple with. You just might be in better scenery or with new people. And those people are going to look at you strange when you're staring off out in the distance like, oh, what's wrong with you? Oh, I don't want to talk about it. And that's what happens to you. It is true. What you resist persists, and what you look at disappears. And that's always, I didn't understand that until I had to live it. So I had to really have a conversation with myself and go, okay, what's going on? And that axiom has helped me off and on, but it never got me. It helped to get me to where I am now. I also talk about being metaphysically lost in that, which is going to be the interesting part about the next video that I'm going to put on this channel. I never struggled with understanding what my beliefs were. Only got maybe 10 beliefs. There's a whole diatribe I do about what beliefs are, but I do believe in God, and I believe in that God is a real thing, which is what my next video is going to be about in parts, companion piece to another piece I'm working on, or to a mixtape that I'm working on. But I spent a lot of time in the 90s reading a lot of different books like I did when I was a kid, trying to understand not just what faith and spirituality were, but the different views of God are about, but just about how I felt about myself and what I thought, how I looked at the universe. You know, I never had a doubt that there was always something bigger than me. Not just people, because your father's bigger than you, or your lineage. There was never a doubt to me that there wasn't a God, that there wasn't like another force in the universe, and that there wasn't an all-knowing, all-seeing entity. And how you get to that belief, or what your point of view on that belief, that's different for different people. But for me, in the 90s, I struggled with what my understanding of all that would be. And that led me to a lot of interesting places, and sometimes it led me to places I probably shouldn't have been, to be honest with you. Just that search for knowledge. But I was never short on belief in myself, or I was never really insecure, never grappled with I didn't look as good as anybody else. So on the one hand, there are a lot of spiritual things about me, my inner turmoil was never about who I was or what I wanted to be. My inner turmoil was always about what the future was going to be, about things I wanted to do that I never did. So yeah, in the 90s, where was I at? I was lost. Am I more found today? In a lot of ways, I would say I'm more found today than I was lost in the 90s. But the search continues. Like the figuring it all out, that's still a thing that we do. I would tell younger people that the secret to life is the fact that no one knows what they're doing. Adults look like they got together. They're just really, they're dog paddling, in an ocean that no one knows the depth of, and no one knows how far out it goes. None of us are getting out of here alive, though. That's the truth. That's the real fact of it. So it's not that nothing matters, it's that everything matters. So that's the answer to the question. It turned. It was funny, and then it got serious. So like, share, and subscribe. We'll do more questions and more interesting answers. Thanks.